Now, welcome to the first Parliament meeting in the February-March term. This is the most MPs we've had in this nation's history, quite literally speaking. It's 3 instead of 2.
Whoa!
Holy shit.
So, we don't have anything major here in this Parliament meeting. This is mainly just a setup thing. There are 3 voting matters. First of all is the rules of Parliament, which the old rules of Parliament have needed an update since certain events. And there are also some changes I would have made to it as well, just as a different sort of Speaker of Parliament than Samuel. So if we can all go to that document. So how Parliament meetings work typically is I will read the text of the bill and allow opportunities for answering questions, clarifying understanding, such things like that. We can also modify the bill as we go. So if we are all ready, then I will proceed to read.
I'm ready.
All right. The Rules of Parliament is a document to establish rules during Parliament meetings. This document's purpose is to establish rules that all Parliament members must follow during Parliament meetings. These rules are to be enforced by the Speaker of Parliament at their own discretion. Article 2 Rules. I didn't finish this. No slurs of any kind should be said during meetings. Swearing is allowed if deemed not excessive. So, fun fact about that one, there was actually a slur said in Parliament at one point. There is a reason for that to exist.
Huh.
Wow. That's lovely.
When was this?
It was back in the city of Malonia.
So a long time ago.
Yeah.
I remember this.
2. The discussion should not drift to unrelated and irrelevant conversation. Just to keep things as on topic and efficient as possible. Jokes and humor should be limited in quantity and how much time they detract from meaningful discussion. So this one, I'm not going to be too harsh with this. I would just like it to not just be joking, you know?
Yeah, understandable.
Logical fallacies are not allowed and will be called out if the speaker identifies them. I think pretty self-explanatory. Logical fallacies are just unfair to people. So, a notable exclusion here, you are now allowed to wear armor and elytra in the Hall of Parliament. 2 reasons for this. 1, it's some people would not have the inventory space to actually take off their armor, and it would be an annoying process to be able to get them the inventory space. And 2, since the events of February 8th, having politicians wear armor seems like a smart safety decision. And I think we're all in agreement. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. All right.
Down for that change. Yeah, works for me.
And finally, weapons shall not be drawn in the Hall of Parliament unless there is a criminal intrusion. So again, influenced by the February 8th events. The idea is politicians should not be at each other's throats with knives, but if, for example, there was an SNHK to come behind me, since there are 3 people currently that are also members of the Malonian Legion, you would still be able to protect me. as an example. Article 3 calls. This one is pretty lush, so feel free to add or do anything with this after I read it. Clause 1. The Speaker of Parliament may say specific words to control Parliament. These calls are listed in the following clauses. Clause 2. Order indicates that Parliament should silence themselves to allow the Speaker of Parliament to interrupt peacefully. I think we would all be in agreement of that. It's pretty typical.
Yeah.
Discuss indicates that Parliament should talk among themselves to delve deeper into a measure or issue. So this is a specific call out to allow for that. Consensus indicates that each member of Parliament should briefly state their position on a measure. And I would like to add one more that indicates it's time to vote. I'm just gonna say commence vote for this.
All right.
So, commence vote indicates that a voting period is starting. A voting period will start. This shall be followed by the Speaker of Parliament asking each MP what their vote is. So, traditionally we do aye for yes and nay for no, but you can vote in any way that indicates yes or no. Your vote could be yeah, as an example.
Just as long as it's clear.
As long as it's clear and able to be recorded well.
Will you have the ability to ask for clarification if it's not clear?
Definitely.
Lovely.
Like these will be pretty dynamically used.
I feel we'll get the flow of it.
Yeah. These are just tools I have at my disposal to help me make sure Parliament is going in the right direction. Alright, new article, Article 4, Enforcement. If during a Parliament meeting a member of Parliament violates one of the rules, they should be given a firm warning. If a member of Parliament violates the rules 3 times or more in rapid succession of a Parliament meeting, the Speaker of the Parliament should mute the member of Parliament in the Discord VC, but they can still listen to discussion and vote. Are we good with that?
Yeah.
They also get muted to the Minecraft chat.
I feel like that's kind of hard to do.
Or are they able to participate still through that?
They technically can. However, as Speaker of Parliament, I won't be able to see it, and the recording will not include it.
Okay. But it's not prohibited.
Yeah, and there's not much I can really do to
It's just not
unprohibit it. Or prohibit it, rather. So, Clause 2, if members of Parliament feel that the Speaker isn't enforcing these rules, they may call for the Speaker to start enforcing them, after which the Speaker may agree or disagree with the member's call out. So basically allowing you guys a say in how I do things.
Sounds good.
Article 5, Enactment. In order for these rules to apply, Parliament must vote with a majority for the passage of this document. If Parliament feels that this document must change to add new rules, change existing rules, or remove archaic rules, the document may only be changed after a majority vote by Parliament. So the President isn't required for this vote. So, as per the new Parliament rules, discuss.
Seems good to me.
It's like pretty much like almost the same as last time, just more clarification. So I'm fine with it. So yeah,
Works for me.
I'm cool.
So, that was a combination of discuss and consensus, I feel.
I feel like
Which totally works.
this is just
I think
the
that's just going to be a normal.
yeah. This is just kind of like setting up for the future. You
Yeah,
know,
like
setting up the ground
consensus-
rules.
I think consensus is gonna be used more for like specific like articles or clauses.
I feel like consensus
Consensus
is going to lead into
is-
discussion.
Yeah, consensus, I feel, is going to be rarer than discuss.
Just because like somebody's got to give their stance and then argue.
Like,
on that behalf.
mainly
So-
consensus would be used to remind people what the positions are, and discuss would be to explore those positions.
Yeah.
Like, here's an example of how consensus would work. Say this is an abstract bill that Calvin agrees with, Siestro agrees with, Owen disagrees with. So, if I say consensus, Calvin would say aye, Siestro would say aye, Owen would say nay, essentially. It would be just belief.
Okay.
But it would be separated from a vote.
Yeah. Okay, I understand.
So,
So like,
speaking of which,
basically,
consensus.
I
alright.
Commence vote. Calvin, what is your vote?
I
Siestro, what is your vote?
Yes.
Iso Kamikaze, what is your vote?
Aye.
Alright, at this point, you may sign your name at the bottom, separating each name with 3 spaces.
So who's doing it first?
I can't sign my name.
All right. I'm having a little bit of trouble, ISO.
Yeah, I can't sign it. I'm stuck on view only.
Oh,
Um,
try refreshing maybe?
Hold on. Yeah, on both emails I'm still blocked.
just says you're a viewer. So
yeah, I was gonna say, so I'm checking these.
Alright, try again.
Alright, one moment. There we go. I'm gonna try to spell my name right.
Alright. With unanimous vote, this passes.
Woohoo! All right.
So if you go back to the spreadsheet, you'll see how that is indicated.
sweet.
Green. Green is good.
Regarding parliament meetings, or would we be able to raise the idea of when 1.20 comes out, updating to that, or is that beyond our control?
That would be more of a server admin issue, but
Because I
Yeah.
think it'd be beneficial to everybody personally, because it adds an entirely new wood type, new mob, and all that good stuff. So
you know
figured
what?
it would.
Parliament discuss.
So here's the thing. I feel like there's a lot of we would need to find new chunks for it definitely.
That's the
Well,
big issue.
What are we talking about?
Order.
Update.
Can you first of all describe the new features of 1.20 so that we're
Let me
all
open up
on the
1.20
same
here.
page.
Let me open up 1.20 here. So 1.20, starting with blocks, it adds bamboo planks, mosaic, chiseled bookshelves, which can store enchanted books, or 6 of them to be exact. Adds cherry trees, cherry planks, all that good stuff, saplings, hanging signs, which would be beneficial for naming, piglin heads, sniffer mob, which I have no idea what that is, torch flowers, decorated pots, suspicious sand, torch flower seeds, brush, and then smithing templates to customize armor. Although the armor would be iffy because of the amount of chunks we've generated, we'd have to explore at least another couple thousand. It also adds camels, rafts, cherry groves, an entirely new biome, and obviously the cherry blossom tree.
Right, with all of that in mind, discuss.
I think there's a good amount of stuff that's gonna be useful, but it's gonna be like a few thousand blocks to find a new bio. I'm
Yeah,
not
but-
against upgrading to a new version, but I think we will have to wait for it, especially with all of our plugins on the server.
That
So,
would be a
like,
big thing.
I
And
don't
also-
know. Did they come out soon?
I don't
Uh,
know, and it's also the thing of waiting for the hosting company to update to 1.20.
Yeah, that's another.
Which
factor.
plugins do we all use right now that we have to wait for? What's the number?
Well, I think that's gonna have to be with more like server admins like Michael Blake and yeah.
Yeah,
Well, it's not,
that would
don't
be
you
a
also do-
question more fit for Michael and Blake.
Yeah.
I am a server admin, but I'm not as much into the plugin side of things.
Like a lot of 1.20 is just quality of life with new features and stuff, and instead of like new mobs and other
I
things.
mean, my biggest gripe with 1.20 is that you now need to explore a bastion to find an upgrade template to turn your diamond armor into netherite.
Yeah, that's a
and-
big issue I have.
That's a big problem, in my opinion.
I feel like we'd give that people a notice to like, hey, if you want to upgrade your netherite or your diamond to netherite within a certain time span and get like several sets of armor or whatever.
I'm sure there's going to be plugins, something server side that allow you to do the netherite, the current netherite update, upgrade.
Probably.
So you won't need the upgrade templates, because that's going to be awful to find. We got to load in
Yeah.
new bastions. Like, that's
I-
going to be so miserable. Or you got to have like so many diamonds that you can spend on upgrading everything. It's just not going to be fun.
The big thing is that I know Joe has explored at least several thousand blocks in every direction in the nether. So it'd be really tough to figure out what chunks have been loaded and what haven't.
Yeah, you'd need
Which was
nether
the big
highways
issue.
galore.
Yeah, that was the big issue when updating to 1.19 for the ancient cities and stuff. I think the ancient city base that I have, let me check the coordinates real fast. It's something like it's like x negative 600, z negative 9032. So it's a hike.
Yeah.
And then I don't know how many people have explored beyond that, but I do know that it's all the chunks beyond like 15,000 blocks out from spawn are 1.19. So
Yeah, that's just not really accessible to the average player.
no, it'd be
So, while I'm not innately against upgrading the server, there's a couple logistical issues that would slow us down. And then the big one would be netherite being significantly harder to get a hold of.
it just being a general pain in the ass.
Yeah, like I would love to get armor trims. Those look cool as hell, but
Oh, I love
unfortunately,
the amethyst armor trims, but
yeah. But unfortunately, I'm like ripping teeth out trying to think of myself getting netherite now. It's hard enough to find ancient debris. Well,
Yeah,
not
I
hard,
know
but it's
netherite-
time consuming.
Netherite's hard enough as it is.
Yeah, it's like, do you really want
No.
to spend multiple hours to get a full set of armor and tools?
It's a
And
big
then
issue.
have to go mining for diamonds too? Like, come on, Mojang.
If
big
if
issue
I may
is that-
interject as Minister of Finance speaking, updating to 1.20 would have some very interesting economic considerations.
Yeah.
Because the armor
Net-
trims and stuff would be.
Netherite would become a much more valued resource. There'd probably
It
be like a
already
big
is.
boom
It's
in it
already
right before the update. As people like make and sell netherite to be able to do it in the old system.
I know I have exactly 4 sets of armor and tools of netherite just as backup sets, so I can sell those. But I'm not selling.
I
them at the
also
moment
feel
because
if the general population were to be polled on if they want to upgrade to 1.20 or not, I feel they would be in favor of it. I'm not sure.
I like it because of the new, like the cherry blossoms and stuff, and
Yeah.
armor trims.
Oh.
I don't care for anything else. I just love the new cherry blossoms.
Yeah, I think honestly, if I may, it'd probably be better to ask everyone on the server what they thought before we did anything, and not just us coming up with the idea for it.
It
Because
would
it's
be.
not just us playing on it; it's everyone. So that
Definitely.
type of decision should be pulled before we do anything.
It all depends on how many people are active at the time, though. We've seen a boom in activity as of late, but other times
Yeah.
it would just be
Yeah.
like me and somebody else, and most of the time I'm AFK at work.
I have some data for this. Right now is actually our most active period in our history.
Hi.
That's good.
High five.
And with the way things are gonna go with new citizens coming in, it seems to be on the rise, which is insane.
The city's gonna grow, and we're gonna have to do some more terraforming to the south end, probably, because downtown is getting a little bit cramped.
Yeah.
I mean, that is
Expansion is definitely gonna be outward.
Yay,
to-
Kansas
Like
City.
a public works for like nice roads and stuff.
Yeah.
Like, just
Well-
roads in general.
Roads are
'Cause obviously-
mandated 3 cobblestone just because of
Yeah, the-
cost effectiveness.
Yeah.
See, I can fund bricks, but that's about it. I can't fund much else because of the 4 villagers I have selling bricks.
Yeah, bricks are even with that, bricks are still a pain in the ass.
Yeah, because curing villagers in normal is a lot harder than curing villagers in hard because there's not an 100% chance of them living through the fact that they're going to be zombified. So I can't cheapen the prices.
So I detected that the conversation is getting slightly irrelevant, so I assume the 1.20 discussion is about over. Unless there are
Yeah.
other
Yeah,
considerations.
The big takeaway is we're going to have to wait for the population to vote
Yeah,
on
no,
it.
the
and
populace
then
needs to vote on this, not
We're
us.
going
Well,
to.
I
have
think
to
what
wait
would
for
happen
the-
first is that I would tell the president about the parliament's position on it. Because Michael would have the biggest task of actually.
He's the one that physically has to upgrade the server
Yeah,
and
Yeah.
deal with all the logistical
Which
side
is a
of
pain
things.
in the ass.
So he
I've
can.
never worked with servers, so I would not know.
They're a bitch. I'm being.
They are not fun.
They're a bit of a nightmare.
I'm
You would
thankful I
know.
just kind of thankful I just play Minecraft and not deal with that side of it.
Yeah.
So, doing light green to indicate discussion over. Now, we have 2 final measures that were brought up today, actually. Since Prime Minister Oddball being here, I can actually refer to you in person.
Yeep.
So, when Prime Minister Oddball took the Prime Ministership, I believe that is the terminology. He
Yeah,
also
whatever it is.
inherited the positions of Ministry of State and Ministry of Architecture, which were previously held by me, as the positions had vacant ministries, and vacant ministries are run by the Prime Minister. However, he has decided to transfer those back to me. Would you like to explain your reasoning why? For Minister of State.
Yeah, for Minister of State, I have more of a reason. The Minister of State, he's, if I'm not mistaken, Sion's already the head of the Legion. So
Yes.
State takes care of government official stuff, and it also takes care of international relationships type stuff. And Sion's very good at that. I've known Sion long enough to know that he's very good at that type of thing. So I think he'd be the best suited for that position.
Discuss.
I mean, you've already been doing the work, right? You've already been doing the
exactly.
roles of these two ministers. There's nothing wrong with electing somebody that you know will be a good fit for those positions as one of your first
Yeah.
degrees.
And as for Minister of Architecture, that is
Well-
something I've never been good at, so I'd rather not take part in that. And I know Sion has done very good, well, creating stuff like this, or helping design certain buildings around for government issued areas that I think look very good. So I think he'd be really good for that position too.
Discuss.
I think this is gonna be kind of a weird one to discuss because Owen was the Minister of Architecture,
A long time ago, correct?
so
Yeah.
I
As
don't
long
have a
as they can-
problem-
Enforce good building codes and make sure that buildings don't look like a brick. I'm fine with anything.
Yes, I am currently in
Oh
working.
no, Sion would absolutely not do that.
I am currently in the works for making a proper building code. However, since
Yeah,
it is a
this-
proper building code, it is going to be very long.
Because isn't the current building code, one, it just has to not look like a brick, and two, it has to be like 1 block away from any sort of.
There are a
road.
few more things like that in that one, but that one is
Yeah, like
from the
different types of
city of
blocks.
Melonia, and it can definitely use some updates.
Then in Agronia, it's 5 blocks, correct?
Yeah, Agronia is a very particular borough when it comes to that, because I want Agronia to maintain the rural look.
Is it possible for you two to collaborate and work together on this bill?
Yes. If we have extra time after these two measures, we can write part of the Building Standards Act at the end of the
Yeah, that would be
meeting.
useful.
Yeah, I can give a little bit of insight before I have to do stuff, depending on how long this goes.
And if one MP has to leave, we can still continue discussion without them.
Yeah.
So, if there is nothing else to discuss about the measures of approving me as Minister of State and Minister of Architecture, we may start the vote. So, are there any issues like that?
Sounds like we're good.
Sounds like we're good. Commence vote. Calvin, do you approve
Aye.
me as Minister of State? There we go.
Shut up! Aye.
Stop talking. I want this to be over.
Wow.
Siestro, do you... I think
Do
you
I?
know.
I had yes.
And Isukami Kaze, do you approve? Yeah.
Fuck formalities.
It's
Just
40
answer
minutes.
immediately.
It's in 40 minutes. It's time to go home.
So, I don't remember offhand whether the president needs to approve of this as well, so I will just ask him later. Now, as for the measure approving me as Minister of Architecture, Calvin, what is your vote?
Yes.
Siestro, what is your
Aye.
vote? Isokami Kaze, what is your vote?
Aye.
Alright, so unanimous decisions from Parliament.
Wow.
It won't be like
Oh,
that.
yeah.
I'd love to
forever.
see it. I wish other countries could actually do this too.
it's
Oh,
only, it's
good luck
only
with that.
possible here because we have such a small population that
Oh, I know.
aren't divided very much by political boundaries, even though there are completely different political ideologies represented here.
Not yet.
Like we can still cooperate, unlike the politicians, the real
Yeah.
ones.
This makes me realize what would happen if more people joined, and we had a fourth. Would we just like unanimously have a fifth, so we'd never have a tie?
No. In that case, if there is a tie in Parliament due to even number, I would be able to break that tie.
Speaker of Parliament.
When there is an odd number, I will not be able to break ties, as ties will not exist.
Yeah, 'cause I don't think we'll have that problem anytime soon. I'm going to assume that most people are going to settle in the downtown area, maybe a little bit,
Probably.
and a few in the Hagden area, because
I
we do
do.
have a lot of space there at the moment. Not
Yeah.
a lot in mine, because mostly mine's ocean. Ocean, the courthouse, and then this big ol' slab for farms,
So,
and the palace north, but
in the Parliament channel in Discord, I have linked the Building Standards Act.
Oh, are we doing that now?
Yes, we have extra time and we can get some work done on this.
Hey, Scion.
Yes?
Would this be where I would bring up that one voting thing that I asked about this morning?
Remind me what that is.
So we almost had a tie for Speaker of Parliament, and ties, like actual ties, are decided by the Speaker of Parliament. And I think if
Yes.
the position that is being voted on has a tie, it should not be decided by the position who is being voted for. If that makes sense.
Yes. We will very soon try to have a bill for that.
Really,
Okay.
personally, I think
I just thought that
that
should
is-
be out there.
I think in that case it should be the Prime Minister then voting on it.
Definitely, that was what I was thinking as well.
Yeah.
Because in the old city of Malonia, the Vice Mayor was the equivalent of Prime Minister and the Speaker of Parliament. Both roles at the same time.
are we talking the old server, or are we talking like
Not Melontown,
Just the
city of
start of this
Malonia.
okay, so like dead start of this one?
Yeah, from May 30th to when the second constitution was ratified, which I do not remember the date offhand.
Either.
This server is almost a year old.
Yes.
Yeah, we're getting close.
Well,
Yeah,
I can't
well-
wait for the celebration.
The
Yeah.
old server lasted for
I
7
definitely plan to bring up to Michael to have May 30th be a national holiday.
oh shit, that's the 30th. Dang, I
Like
didn't
July
realize it was
4th
that
type
close.
thing.
Well, sort of. I guess there's no real
Yeah.
there's no real equivalent in the real world because countries in the real world don't tend to pop up from non-existence.
That's fair.
This
Well,
is
I mean-
our Independence Day.
Yeah. Could this
Independence.
Independence from what power?
Independence
Which
from-
is, you
The
know,
powers
I mean,
of Minecraft as
It's
a whole.
more equivalent to a country's Independence Day. We could call it Founding Day or something.
Founding
Yeah,
Day.
that's-
That is a good name.
It works.
Call it Founding Day and celebrate it like the 4th of July. Spend time with family, fireworks, and a lot of I don't know.
Well,
As
Uh,
acting Minister of Science, I could make a fireworks display.
Ooh.
we will have to look into the cost of that.
I would pay it out of pocket if I had to.
Very well.
I've got enough gunpowder to supply an army plus about 27 more armies, so
Good to know.
that's what I get for sitting AFK overnight at my mob farm. And about
So-
Yeah.
700 bajillion chests worth of rotten
Seeing
flesh.
seeing as discussion is becoming a little less relevant, allow me to direct conversation to the bill. The Building
Right,
Standards
oh, yeah.
Act. This bill's purpose is to establish a set of building rules and guidelines to ensure a safety and quality standard throughout the Republic. These standards will include, but not be limited to, a minimum ceiling height requirement, a minimum block variety, and mandatory lightning rod coverage.
Can I say something? I might have to leave probably like soon because I'm kind of getting a little tired. So I might
fine.
have to excuse myself from Parliament. So if you guys can fill me in on what I missed out on, and if I have to approve anything, then just let me know. All right. So
All right.
all right. Thank you, and good luck with the Parliament.
What a sign off.
My man's like, peace.
Alright, so are we able to just discuss any section of the bill that we see? And
Uh,
are we going to go down the list of Clause 1, 2, Article 3, and then go down from there?
I would prefer it to be down the line just for formality's sake. Would be easier for
gotcha.
me. So, every empty property must be properly marked at its corners to show its exact boundaries. This must be enforced by the executive branch of the government and not by the citizens. So,
Those
what
are
that
the
means,
signs, correct?
yes, those are the signs, or you can use yellow wool or any other visible indication.
To say, I think we need to do a little bit more than signs, because signs don't render in for, or up until you're like 30, 40 blocks away. Or whatever your render distance is set at. So maybe a solid block with a sign on top of it might do. And then the
it's-
coordinate on each one, maybe, I don't know.
If it's painfully obvious where the boundaries are
Yeah.
these required? Like, I have my factory currently digs down like 5 blocks in a straight hole, and it is
Well-
very, very clear where the boundary markers are.
Yeah, most of my property
in that
is clear.
case, it would not be an empty property.
Ah, that's true. That's true. I'm
Yeah.
thinking ahead.
Yeah. Now, all of mine is either a square like business island, which is more of a business continent at this point in time, but it's still relatively well marked.
I
There's, like, one
propose that
farm.
you say that it must be properly marked with blocks in the corner, but
Yeah.
don't specify the blocks themselves, because
Exactly.
that leaves us, like, hypothetically, we could use like terracotta, brick, something that stands out in the immediate vicinity, other than
Maybe-
signs. But
Maybe it
doesn't look
depends on
ugly.
like block palette as well to zone it as well.
Yeah, like if you're doing downtown, it's gonna look different than the rural area.
Like rural, you
Uh.
could do like grass or like a tree
Well-
block or something.
Um,
Something to make it look rural. Well,
The idea, I would like it to be something that contrasts the environment so that it's, painfully obvious. It's like, high vis vests.
like, and then we can set the standard later to be like a undisclosed block with something on top of it that would represent it, or like a sign
Yeah.
on top of that block. So block that blends in, and then sign on top of that to represent everything, and then the person who owns the land can then decide how they want to represent that.
Sorry, off topic. Anyone got a bucket?
a bucket of what exactly?
I have a
No,
bucket
just
on
an
me
empty
that
bucket
has
so I can get
water.
milk.
I have
I
milk
need
and
some
water.
milk because there's some pillagers outside that I want to take care of.
All right.
Thank you.
Or did Owen
And the
have a
emergency. I
buck?
have the literal just. I think I've named the. Oh yeah, the shoulder box is literally named emergencies. It's got
Very well.
That is
shovel,
fair.
my shovel, 5 totems, an extra pickaxe, 27 ominous banners, another sword, 2 shields, a trident, glass bottles, more potions of regeneration, a saddle, 7 stacks of rockets, a loyalty 3 book, a water bucket, a milk bucket, and then I just gave my other milk bucket away. Legit just prepared for anything.
Yeah, please don't kill my villagers. They're kind of nice.
That's why I wanted
Just
to
trap
book it.
all my villagers. So
Maybe
than
consider
that.
staying away from villagers for the time being.
Where is? Well, that's why I wanted to milk book it.
Might want to drink that. I don't think another one will be captain.
What?
Anyway,
Anyway,
Also,
Back to
I
the
wanted to
meeting at
book it
hand.
because they were in cows.
Order.
Because well, I can just give back the milk. Anyway, sorry.
so
can you
what was I?
phrase? We were talking about the property boundaries. Could you phrase it as like the current standard is or something?
So it's able to be changed.
This can probably be better expressed.
This clause only applies to empty properties. Doing a big think.
Maybe that. And this
I like
clause
that.
does not
Looks good
apply
to
if
me.
the property has been modified by its owner.
Modified in any way. Whether that be like a block or
Well,
Sweet. I mean, you do want the owner to know where the property lines are.
yeah.
So if the owner doesn't know that, then it's kind of problematic. Can you include the exact chords in the deed so that we don't have to worry about that?
that would be useful.
Yes, I
In
can.
that
I can
in
look
that
at
case,
doing
we
that.
don't need that to be physically like represented. We just have it in a book somewhere. We can always reference that.
Yeah, that would
I mean,
be
of course-
useful, and I will
Of course,
write a
current
note
deeds
to
would
do
need
that.
be updated. Of course, our current deeds would need to be updated, but that's a monster for later.
Oh
Yeah. It's gonna be really hard for Owen's deeds as well because
yeah.
You-
They're bad.
I won't lie, you've
only
been doing a lot of building outside your properties, so we need to reevaluate.
Yeah, most of it's been while the server was like before everything was massively active, and I was just hella bored.
Oh, I should. That's my advertisement.
Alright. Properties are required to maintain a distance of at least 1 block from all roads throughout the Republic of Malonia. In the Borough of Aglonia, properties are required to maintain a distance of at least 5 blocks from all roads.
I don't think that needs to be changed. I think it works good as of right now.
I would agree. Calvin?
I'm good with this.
If a citizen alters or constructs on land outside of the boundaries of their own properties, they can be arrested for griefing and subject to criminal jurisdiction.
I feel like that's subjective, and that's just me. It's subjective whether, like, if they're building, like, a bridge over something to, like, transport a villager, I
Well,
feel like that's... I mean, that's, like, a special case, because they're probably going to destroy it anyway, and it's just going to be this big dirt thing. But, like, a bridge over a river, or, like, a rail line, because I know there's at least 6 rail lines that Joe built to different places before he had an Elytra.
There's
I don't
also
know
the
exactly where they are. though.
problem of if you are building in an area outside of a city, then none of this is really enforceable.
Yeah, that's the big thing.
So,
Is that
like,
if
if we look at the end, for example, there is an Enderman farm in the end.
So-
and nobody owns that as a property because there's no city in the end in order for that to be owned.
technically it is mine, but anyone can use it.
Right.
The only farm that the only few farms that people are not allowed to use that are mine are the Guardian Farm, the Mob Grinder, and the Iron Farm, because I use that for villagers.
Oh, and not the villagers, or also the villagers?
I'd include villagers in that as well.
Alright. So, if a citizen alters or constructs on lands outside of the boundaries of their own properties for longer than 36 hours, they can be arrested for griefing and subject to criminal jurisdiction. Does that solve the problem, or could that be worked on?
Make it 48, and I feel like we need to.
48, but it needs to be also a vote, because if they're building something in good faith, like how I'm tearing apart a mountain for resources,
Yeah,
I mean,
we can,
technically it's not building, but
Well,
it is still technically tearing stuff. Well, technically there's a beacon over there, but that's about it.
I guess the issue with that is that in that case, the citizen that does that should seek out a property.
I feel like you could just also look for approval instead. Like, hey, I'm gonna rip apart this mountain. You guys got a problem with that?
Yeah,
and
I'll
then everyone's
check
gonna
in
be
with
like,
the-
yeah, no.
Check in with the MP of that
we-
district and then go from there. Also, how far do our districts extend north, or are we just doing this in the town?
Infinity.
All right.
Or,
Of course.
So it's worth
Sure.
it's worth noting that the districts don't actually mean area you control. It just puts bounds on the
Oh, it's
citizens that
just the
you
vote.
represent.
Okay, it's just the voting. All right.
It's
was
not
thinking that it
actually
was-
land you own.
Wouldn't that be under the Ministry of Architecture then?
What
Or
would
any-
be?
For
For
any
anything built.
major projects that is outside of property, wouldn't you have to contact the Minister of Architecture?
Probably.
Most likely.
Which would be
I
you,
feel like that.
I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure.
Any property
that's what I would
related
do.
things would go to the executive branch first rather than the legislative
easier-
branch.
It's easier to just get approval from Scion to rip apart a mountain than it is to rip apart a mountain and ask for forgiveness. Now, granted, there should probably
Yeah.
be a statement about, like, because nobody is 10,000 blocks out. there could-
correction.
Nobody's going to be.
There is
at
a
that.
base 10,000 blocks out. And
Like, are
it
you
is
gonna-
a ancient city base. That
I
is
was gonna say
currently-
that's your ancient city base, isn't it?
Right,
Yeah,
but
well,
it's
okay. It's not mine. It's my brother's. But the issue
Yeah.
is he uses this account because I
Oh.
don't.
Yeah.
Because it's sometimes his account is like almost like a free trial account, and it's like some weird thing with them. But the issue is, I am not always online on my account, so I cannot control. And my brother's not on Discord either because he's freaking 11 years old, and that's not great. But
Against
that
TOS.
does make it hard to control or communicate with him if he wants to build something outside of property.
Yeah,
Yes.
that's
So
a bit of an issue.
And
but-
I know that would fall on me, but it's like an arbitrary question.
in that
is
case,
very
the
annoying
most
to
you
deal
can
with.
do is probably like let your brothers know that if they want to do something, they can ask us.
Yeah, put it in the chat and be like, hey, I'm going to do this at this time. Because my brother did raise the idea, since we're tearing apart the mountain for materials, of building like, not a base, but like an industrial area over there, because it's far enough away from the main town and it won't cause massive lag spikes. It might lag
Oh,
the
yeah, no.
TPS on the server, but near the center of the town, if nobody is, like, I think it's 700, 800 blocks away, nobody's over there, it's not going to be in render distance, and thus not lagging everyone's frames down to 5.
Yeah. So if there were lag problems with that, that would go to the president, of course, to do whatever he must.
Yeah.
It all depends. It's a very arbitrary question, because he raised the idea after, because there's no way I'm tearing apart that mountain in due time, because it just takes forever.
Yeah.
So it's so annoying, because I'm also trying to collect all the materials, just in case the government needs them to build anything. It's like a massive terraforming project or just materials in general. It'd be nice to have like 4 or 5 chests full of stone and cobblestone.
All right.
Anyway,
it's almost 9
that's
o'clock, so
Hella
I will
off
be
topic for me.
I will be leaving soon because it's almost 9 o'clock. It's almost bedtime, folks.
All right, so
That being said, I feel like there should be some sort of statement about, in general, if it's in the city, if you're altering property that is like under like the influence of the city, then it's going to be looked on harsher than if you are doing
the middle of
anything in the
nowhere.
wilderness. And then you can, if you're in the wilderness, you can technically still have a base out there in the middle of nowhere, but it's not going to be as easy to protect. And it's harder for the
guess
government to give you that security.
that would be
I feel like that,
difficult
like,
to
there's-
express in a law document.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
you'd
just
You'd have
really.
to
Not like
tell
an
somebody.
unwritten law.
It's like the whole server is Melonia's, but at the same time, it's like, how
We're
do
not gonna
we-
run
Yeah.
like as a
The
military. we're
reason
not
the
gonna run.
entire world is Melonian territory is just to allow us to expand without issue.
Yeah, like it's
Yeah.
definitely ours, but it's going to be hard
And
to.
it also discourages
really
people
expand.
making their own settlements apart from Melonia.
Yeah, that's the thing.
It's all
Asking
yours.
for per, because the original idea was with the ancient city to build like a nether highway down there, and maybe some people would want to build a base out there, but so far nobody wants to because there's no point.
I
Yeah,
mean,
just go for
I
it,
would
whatever.
go just because Skulk is very. I have a few build ideas that require Skulk, so I need to farm Skulk.
And the thing about
which is a
the
pain
ancient
in
city
the
is that
ass.
we've cleared out all of the shriekers, so it's relatively safe. So
Oh,
that's
it's
nice.
all of the Shriekers, so I couldn't even set up like a farm for Skulk stuff yet.
Yeah, I was debating doing that to the Enderman farm actually, but the big issue
Yeah,
is scooping is not allowed, and the farm that I use on my single player world relies on duplicating TNT to blow it up for you.
yeah.
That's the one issue I have with the
Alright,
server.
it
duplicating
is.
TNT. But
It is time for bed, folks. So
Alright.
Good night,
I have
Colin.
added the clause before you go. I have added the clause. If a citizen requests it, they may have the executive branch create a property around their project. The executive branch may decline this request for any reason.
all right, I'll have to seek out the required property for that like quarry then, because I kind of want to build like some cool machines just to give some lore to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of that, properties
think
extend
about it.
vertically from the top of the world to the bottom of the world.
Hence
that-
Calvin's.
anyway, good night.
Hence Calvin's hole.
That is a thing because I think Driznul was this I know he's gone, but Driznul's base covers the entirety of Melonia underground. Pretty much.
Technically speaking, it doesn't, but practically speaking, it does.
Not the entire thing, but,
But, like,
most of it.
The only thing down there that he legally owns is the stuff that's directly under his house.
Yeah.
However, enforcing laws all the way down there is, difficult.
Yeah, it doesn't make much sense because
And
then
it's
there's a
not
bunch of, like,
there's
strip
not much
mining
gold
stuff.
there's not much gold to doing that.
No. There's also like a bunch of strip mines from when the server
So,
was early on.
The only time where I feel that would come into play is if two people have properties that extend to the bottom of the world, and then
next to each
they
other.
do strip mining and find each other, and then that's accidental griefing. It would probably go in court.
It also depends on if they can settle it peacefully too.
Exactly.
If they can settle it peacefully,
It
I
would
don't
it would
think
go to
they're
court,
yeah.
and if they just can't.
Yeah, otherwise I think that
But
works
hopefully they
top of the
can.
world to the bottom of the world. It allows people to build skyscrapers and stuff, which I encourage because currently I'm the only one and I'm lonely.
Well,
I mean, looks pretty shit if I'm being honest. I could have definitely done better, but
I guess
I'm
while
not
we're on the
finished either.
topic, this building code would make it so. Well, Article 4 Aesthetic Standards, Section 3 Building Size. Buildings on properties may not exceed a difference of 25 blocks from the highest point, excluding lightning rods or other small extrusions, to the surface level of the property unless the property owner acquires a building permit allowing it. So
Yeah, I think that makes
we
sense.
have a little bit of an issue with people randomly building skyscrapers. So
Yeah,
what we're
there has
doing
to be
is
flip
creating a
for it,
permit
which would be
system
nice.
so that the government can approve a skyscraper.
Would that also include like the peak of a roof though? Say the roof extends, like say the top of the house starts at 20 something blocks, and then the roof does this weird like taper up and it's like 38 blocks or something. How would
Yes.
you do with that?
The roof would be included, but any antenna, spire, lightning rod, any sort of thing like that, it is slightly subjective, but that's up to the executive branch.
Yeah. It just depends on how it's done. Like, and I would, how I
And
personally
if
would
you
look at it
like
would be-
barely cross the 25 block threshold, then it would be much easier to get a permit.
I feel like it's also subjective, just in case the building looks like a giant brick skyscraper, and there's no, it's just this big tower without any like windows or details or anything. I'd think it'd be a lot harder rather than
Yeah, I
something like
honestly
mine,
how
where
it
The
Or it
reason why that would be harder
depending
is
on the
because that would
areas.
be violating more building code rules.
yeah, because it obviously just looked terrible.
Yeah. You would have to get a permit that specifies that it allows everything that's in violation, essentially.
Yeah, you should hop back to section 2 since
Yeah.
that's
Section 2, property owners may inquire the government to ask for a property permit. Property permits are documents that either alter or remove building standards for a particular property. Property permits must state which clauses of the Building Standards Act are to be altered or removed. In the case of alteration of clause, the new restrictions must be clearly stated in the document. In the case of removal of a clause, the lack of restriction in that aspect must be clearly expressed in the document. We want citizens to know exactly what they can and can't do on their property, essentially.
yeah, that it makes sense. If they want to zone it in a specific way, here's the things you can do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The executive branch decides zones, but also historically they've been pretty lax with zones. They usually change after someone buys it.
I feel like there needs to be a time limit between changes.
Well,
Like, say, if you want to have like a like a military area, you can only change it every like 48 hours if you change your mind and say, "Hey, I want to build like farms." So it's
I'm not
just-
sure. I'm not sure how often that would occur,
I don't think it. I think that's more of a
but
iffy.
that the example doesn't work as well because, as per the Borough and Zoning Act, which is law, let me find that one. A military zone is restricted from the public and may only be entered by Melonian military personnel or anyone with clear permission from the Melonian military. Military zones are directly controlled by the Melonian military and are required to be at least 40 blocks away from residential properties.
All right, so,
So-
let me change that industrial to agricultural then, because I didn't realize that the military zones were that different from anything else.
Yeah.
But
If we
also-
were to take, for example, the hiked-in tanks that you've built, that would not become a military zone if we made that a property. That would likely become
I would just
probably a miscellaneous zone, which is a zone
Yeah.
for any property with a more specific purpose than the other zones, which will be decided by the executive branch on a per-case basis.
Yeah.
Because
I feel like a lot of things are going to be on a per case basis.
either that or
Yeah.
a public zone.
I don't mind people exploring it, so that'd be fine by me. Who the fuck is calling? Oh, nobody important.
By the way, Isa, got a quick question for you.
Correct. Yeah.
Skulk. Do you have any that you would be willing to like sell or trade?
I'm gonna have to leave the hall. I gotta check.
Yeah, kind of figured. I know that was just an off question because I'm like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you're the only person who has Skulk currently.
Yeah, I am the only. I don't know how much I have though.
Yeah, that's why I asked. I was just curious.
Yeah.
I don't need much, like maybe a stack if you have it. Just had a small project that I wanted to work on.
No, I have some somewhere. I can tell you that much.
Sorry to interrupt this meeting. I just thought I'd ask now.
Oh,
That's right. Actually, it gives me time to run around and look at like different buildings to see.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a stack of Skulk. I'm not sure how much to charge you for it.
so I just scrolled down in the Building Standards Act and found a restriction for military zones. Builds designed to resemble real-life military weapons or vehicles are only permitted on military zones.
I think that was created because of me.
Yeah,
Probably.
I don't think
There's
it's much of a
wandering trigger
secret
on
at this
hold on.
point that the government is not a big fan of the tanks.
I do understand that, and they are not functional, but it. I have melons on. I did it mainly just to have a little bit of fun one evening, and after getting bored, and because I have this this building server that I use, and I just kind of like build random things for hours. So
Yeah. So
I figured I'd check how hard it is to build on
the
survival.
government would still. I feel the government would still like to keep that clause, but of course, with your property, it's not 40 blocks away from a residential, unless I'm mistaken. I haven't actually measured it.
Let me go check that. But I think it needs also to be on a per case basis because the Malonian Legion headquarters is like on top of the mountain and
Yeah.
not finished. And since
That
the Malonian
one-
Legion members
That one I did
don't
check,
have-
and that one is 40 blocks away from residential.
so I know it's definitely 40 blocks away. It's 40 blocks, like 100 blocks away from anything. But say you want to build, like a different. I'm trying to think, how do I word this? Say we want to have like a little outpost or like base, kind of like a police station in the area of Hagden. I think the 40 block rule would have to be ixnayed slightly, because obviously it's going to be almost directly in.
So let me actually go there to do like a measurement, because if it's like within 40 blocks, I do
Okay,
have
so
a potential idea
it's
to allow that to
within-
comply.
So the thing that I just measured from the edge of I measured from the sign from Hiklevi Highway. 40 blocks starts directly at this gate, oddly enough. So directly at this gate. Meaning that everything
Okay.
here is further. I did not plan that at all. That was completely a fluke, but
Okay.
and then obviously this part of the
So,
building pokes into it slightly.
I guess if you don't mind the Malonian military using this land, and
Absolutely not.
if you are
So-
like anxious about the Malonian Legion like getting an order from the government and tearing everything down, we could probably do a contract to ensure this stays up.
So what do you? Okay, well, I got a question. What do you think of the giant plane I built? This thing took way too long.
I mean, technically
Looks nice.
impressive. Doesn't fit into Malonia well, but it fits the
That's-
surroundings well. If you know what I mean.
That's why I'm trying to build like this line of trees, and just like a privacy barrier. The issue about these trees is that I hate building trees. They're such a pain
I
in
can
the
take
ass. to
care of
build.
that.
But I'm getting there. the tall grass, like if you're, that's why I'm trying to like extend it up to here. And that's also
Yeah, trees are hard.
that's not the fact they're
Especially
hard.
these,
It's
like,
just the fact they're
Custom
annoying.
trees as well.
That's
Because
fair.
I don't want us to start spamming saplings everywhere because that doesn't help and it doesn't make things look good. I figured
No.
that building custom trees and also it's just kind of block the view to show that it's like, hey, it's a secretive place, sort of, even though you can
Yeah.
see it from the main road. But
Yeah. It's.
okay.
I'll be honest. I'm still kind of salty that from my bedroom window I get a clear view.
What?
Fro-
Oh, okay. Yeah, I see ya. There's not much I can
There-
do
there
without
is-
blocking this road, though.
Hmm. Maybe if we like do something weird by redirecting the road, maybe.
Yeah, it could, but also I need
But-
to show you something because I don't know what my brothers are planning, but they built this big ass fucking tunnel.
Where?
This is massive.
Why?
You
I'm
can-
curious. Can
I
I
have
see?
no idea, but it is a long ass tunnel. I'll ask them in a second here. But I
Whoa.
think they were gonna try
Yes,
and build a
please.
base over here. I'll pressure them to figure out why. But I
So
have
this
no
seems to
idea.
be the end of the tunnel.
And actually,
where is this
Where
in
is
relation to the rest of Melania?
if you look, okay, so if you
So-
look, how high is your render distance
Hmm.
set? Because you cannot see the town from here at all.
If your brothers decide to build a base here, I would like them to have it be a property,
The
And,
only
like,
thing you can
actually
the only
facilitate the government expanding here.
only thing that you can see from standing on top of this tree right here is the skyscraper, the archer statue, and the palace of fuck, I forgot its name. But that's the only thing you can see, and then the quarry is actually just across the river on this island. I think
So
they were actually
wait, there's a bunch of floating birch logs. Is this a natural fire or something they caused?
I didn't burn it. I can tell you that much. The only thing I burned was that other
I mean,
island. It could have, but I didn't burn it. I can tell you that much.
it could totally also be a wildfire,
It could be. I don't know. But
but
I'll have to ask them
don't-
what they plan on
the
building
government
here, though,
doesn't care too much about birchwood, so it's not a huge
but-
loss.
The big thing was that Melon was salty about was me destroying this entire mountain, but we need supplies, and it was technically in good faith. I wasn't planning on. Like, the thing about this area is that it's completely out of render distance from the city. The only thing you can see is the walls of the palace.
Wait, so
I feel
is this the place you burnt, or was that?
yeah. This is the island that I burnt. I have to assume that the birch forest that burned down is
Maybe the fire spread from there.
it has to have happened recently because it was fully constructed or built when I was
I can check that out.
and unless my brother was on my account a while back and burned it, I don't know. But that's a distinct possibility.
So yeah, it does just say fire, and it says 85 days ago.
That's a while. Holy macaroni. Yeah, I feel
Alright,
like
so
they're like knowing them and knowing the fact that the bridge and the tunnel are connected to the tanks and that like kind of forward front base that I built just to kind of show things.
I'm gonna head out.
yeah, the government, if we expand here, will definitely use a different system.
I do feel like they're gonna build something military here though.
So
It's just
I suppose all you can do is tell them not to without government permission?
Yeah, I'll have to have like my brother DM you and be like, hey, we're gonna build this, this, and this, and I'll probably make like a plan to show what they're gonna build.
Yeah.
So it's nothing like this big ass mega weapon. No, it's probably just gonna be like some tanks and maybe some planes or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I guess
That's my brother also
that
raised
was
that
the-
question when.
if that was the example, then we'd probably deny the tanks to allow the planes.
Yeah, it also depends because my brother did raise the question of building an airbase on the island that I'm tearing apart, and it's like use that as a quarry, and then we'll see at a later date. But I severely doubt it. But hopefully they don't start building with me being offline.
Yeah.
But it's
The unfortunate thing about this is that if they do something that is like illegal or against the government's wishes, then
I'm the
we
one
don't
getting
have
fucked
a-
over for it.
we don't have a direct line of being able to
'Cause
criminally
yeah. Also, you don't.
prosecute
I
them.
have a feeling you don't want to yell at an 11-year-old. I mean,
Yeah.
sure, yelling at them
Well-
is not a way to teach them a lesson about doing shit that's dumb, but it's also hard because
It would also not be yelling, it would be a conversation.
there's a skeleton with an enchanted bow in my. How many torches on you?
I do, but I went all the way back to the Parliament Hall.
Oh yeah, I'm just on top of my skyscraper, just because I was gonna see if you can actually. Yeah, from the top of my tower, you can see like the outskirts of it, but I severely doubt anyone's standing on, say, the NBC on the NBC headquarters. You can't see shit in that direction. I just going to assume that whatever they're building is going to be fine. Hopefully, if they build a tank, I'll probably yell at them. But maybe if it's hidden, I don't know. Like if they build like a garage
Yeah.
for it or something.
Yeah,
Just sitting
definitely
out in
that
the
would be
open.
more ideal than it being out in the open,
It's like
looking like they're about to fire on some civilians, even if they're
Yeah,
not
I-
designed for that.
I feel like I'll tell them if they're going to build any tanks. It's like build them in a garage or build them like maybe going into the tunnel because that makes sense. But I don't know. Hopefully they don't. But knowing them, it's going to be a militaristic style build, which means that the Melonian Legion will have access to it, and I don't mind that because it's probably going to be reused.
Alright, so I guess going
should
back
put
to
that
the
on,
actual Parliament meeting, is anything else you'd like to bring up, or are we good to end here?
I feel like lightning requirements are a bit iffy because lightning rods are finicky and they don't actually cover 128 blocks.
Well,
They cover like 30 in each direction, but if it's below, it doesn't actually cover it.
well, how they work is it's a 64 block radius in a sphere.
Okay.
So that's
I
what
did a-
causes the weird Y level stuff that happens with them.
But I did a few tests about lightning rods and I chucked a trident at
So
each
here
one.
is
It's
what
like,
the bill says about that. The entirety of the area within a property boundary must be in range of a lightning rod on top of 2 or more iron bars. This does not dictate that their property must have a lightning rod on its premises, as surrounding properties may be able to envelop your property in the range of their lightning rods. Lightning rods may not be within 2 blocks distance of any flammable material. So,
yeah, I
oh,
see your
there's a
point there.
third clause as well. As a note for enforcers of this bill, in the 1.19 version of Minecraft Java Edition, the diameter of a lightning rod radius. Actually, wait. This needs to be rephrased.
See, 128's a lot.
The range of a lightning rod is a spherical diameter of 128 blocks.
That does look fair. I just looked on the wiki and that's technically correct.
So yeah,
Aesthetic. I feel like aesthetic standards are going to be based on the type of build, though. So that's more of a case by case basis.
yeah, they
As long
wouldn't
as it's
be
not-
they wouldn't be very strict. Like depth would just require.
Depth, kind of like how this Parliament window has. There's the
It would just
stone bricks,
require
and there's the stuff. Yeah,
not complete
require
flatness.
not to be completely flat, like this wall. Which looks awful, but
Building material variety would dictate either 3 or 4 different materials, and stairs and slabs will count.
yeah. Because you don't want your house to look like a mixed jumble bucket of freaking chum.
Yeah. And then we can most likely add a clause that the executive branch may intervene in case-by-case bases.
Yeah, so building materials variety and building depths are case by case basis. Multiple zones are case by case basis. Residential zones, the small scale crop and animal farms, those make sense.
Yeah.
Commercial zones don't have anything just yet, besides the fact they're just stores. Redstone farms, those get iffy because the redstone farms that are all permitted are very minuscule. There's a lot of like the big redstone farms require duplication and
Yeah,
that
duplication not
jazz.
allowed on the server.
which I understand, but it would be beneficial for almost any industrial area to have like an automatic cobblestone farm. But
Yes, but that would also completely ruin the economy because there would be an infinite amount of blocks that aren't supposed to be infinite.
and that is why I'm tearing apart the mountainside, is just to have like an excess of materials for the government. So, I mean, technically you have those like tiny cobblestone generators, but those don't produce anything.
Yeah. Most of the cobblestone should be obtained through mining. The good old fashioned way.
Industrial public zones. I think we only have one. The gardens of my palace are technically public,
Well,
even though
I would
they're
have to.
far.
I don't think
They're
the castle is actually a property.
Probably not. It's been freaking.
But yeah, there are
Yeah.
actually a couple of public properties. It's not like just one. There is,
Yeah.
if I can count them, 1, 2, 5,
I feel like we need to take a updated
6, 7, 8, and then in Higden, 10, 11, 12, 13,
I think
14.
what we need to do to just like give us an updated thing.
There are 15 public properties. Public properties just require that they can be visited by any citizen.
I think what we need to do is we need to, like, I don't want to say fly up into the air, but take a absolutely updated photo using like the world map, or because the maps in here don't do like justice because they're very
The ones
detailed.
in game?
Yeah.
Yeah, we don't use those anymore. There's an actual
Yeah,
mod that we use.
Yeah, I think what we should do is take a picture of
But
like
yeah,
the main
I've
city.
that is something that
and-
I already have done.
Oh, and then map out every single property and what the zoning is on each one. Would be probably
Yeah.
the biggest thing. Because then it just
I don't
allows
know.
easier.
I don't know if this map is the one. Yeah, this one is updated.
Well, how long ago did you take this picture?
A couple of days ago, and yes, there is deliberate censorship of the tanks.
Also, I do see that like little plateau that we were talking about that burned down. That's burned down on this picture.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
But yeah, we just censored the tanks because we
I'll be done soon.
the government doesn't like the tanks being that visible.
I do understand that point, and I am going to make an attempt to kind of censor them, which is why like the privacy trees are in the way and stuff.
Yeah.
So, whatever my brothers build, and if I'm not online to issue something like an order to stop building that, I will do my best to censor it. Also, I'm seeing on the map there's a very clear sign of players tampering with the mountain north of my palace, northeast, or northwest, my bad. Oh no, never mind, I know why. That was just me grabbing blocks.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think what we should do is like almost weekly update the maps, or maybe monthly update the maps, so we know.
Well, monthly updating of the maps already happens as we create district maps.
Oh yeah. Depends on if something major happens. I'd say we update it weekly, but I don't
Yeah.
think anything major is gonna happen. Unless, like, for some reason I decide to finish the palace, which is definitely not gonna happen anytime soon. Good lord.
So, wheeling back into the parliament meeting, I guess. Any other issues?
I don't see any. Besides, like, farms in the middle of the ocean. I'm not sure how you even... Or, like, farms in the middle of nowhere. Not sure how you'd zone those, because
Well,
it's, like, hella out of jurisdiction. Like, hell out of the way.
you
'cause
would create
technically-
properties for them, and then they would be legally protected, which gives you an upper hand in a lawsuit.
Yeah, because that also means the... crap. The mob farm that I use is in an island in the middle of nowhere. So... You can see it on the map. It's, like, in the middle of the ocean. A lot of the farms I use also use a... like a nether portal. So I'm not
Yeah.
sure how you'd zone that. Because technically that's
It would
property in
be-
the nether.
Yeah, property can exist in the nether, but it hasn't been actually enforced yet.
And then as I was... and then I think I have... Hold on, let me check. There's 6 farms in the nether that we've built. There's a Wither Skeleton farm that does not work at all. There's a Blaze farm that works quite well. There's a Piglin bartering farm, and there's a gold farm. If you want to see it, actually, I just completed it.
I have seen it before.
The massive
Yeah.
ringed gold farm. Yeah, I probably sent a picture of it sometime.
So, with no more issues, then we should be able to adjourn the meeting.
Yep.
So, Aizu Kamikaze, would you like to adjourn the meeting?
I do. I adjourn this meeting.
Then, meeting adjourned.